As it were, I found myself lost and alone. As my fright grew, I began to run up the slope, only to be confronted by 3 animals: the lion, the leopard, and the she-wolf. I was unable to pass them, and as I gave up hope, Virgil greeted me. He explained to me that the only way to paradise in my love Beatrice was to venture down into hell. Apprehensive at first, I doubted his motive, but I would have done anything to see my love. We took the long and winding road to hell, and as our journey continued, my cowardliness increased as my heart beat faster and faster and faster. Virgil led me to the gates of hell, where it states, "Abandon all hope, you who enter here." My mind was spiraling out of control as my head grew lighter and lighter, as if my mind were filled with nothingness. We reached the slithering river that crossed into limbo. Those who lived before Christ were stuck here. As I saw the great poets and philosophers of the past, lightning lit the sky, and overwhelmed, I fell unconscious. I must have been unconscious at the time, for when I awoke, I was eye to eye with Minos, the devil who would not let us enter the 3rd ring of hell. Rain fell as a foul stench floated into my nose. Virgil protected me, and as we passed through the demon's gate into the realm of lust, I saw the people who could not stay faithful to their chastity. I met Paolo and Francesca, who told me their tearful story of their demise. The gluttonous were next to arrive as Virgil explained of their irrational consumption. But suddenly, a 3-headed dog with large pointed fangs growled us in malicious amusement. "Come now, Dante," Virgil said with the utmost confidence. "It is time for us to go deeper into the 4th circle." I obeyed with unconditional trust as we plunged into a jousting match between hoarders and squanderers. These people lived their lives in extremes and were volatile in nature. As we crossed the river Styx, we were met by the wrathful, who only wanted pain and suffering in life and were unable to see the light of the sun, which now lit their sky for eternity. The boatmen led us into lower hell, where a tall tower marked its beginning. Without warning, fury streaked across the sky as Medusa soared into my field of view. Virgil covered my eyes and demanded to let us enter. They laughed and refused. My skin became pale as this was the first time Virgil had been powerless to the wrath of hell. When all felt hopeless, a great beam of light came from above as a messenger of heaven ordered the Furies to let us enter Dis. We continued onward. "Tombs! Everywhere!" I said with a tremble. It was the heretics who believed their soul died with the body and therefore were banished to a lifeless existence in hell. "Dante!" an unknown voice cried. As I turned, Farinata, who had done many good things for Florence during his time, met me. As I started to speak with him, another voice rose from the ground asking me of his son. I recognized it as Calavante de la Calavanti. My words may have confused him, and he sank back into the ground with despair. I bid adieu to my counterpart Farinata and continued my journey. We arrived at the place of the Mentor, who snarled at us in anger. We passed him during his fit of rage and found a river of blood, where those who were violent against their neighbors were placed. Centaurs viciously shot at the souls who rose out of the river and nearly mistook us for escaped souls. "Stop!" cried Virgil. Full of regret, the centaurs helped us through the jagged rocks into the black forest. I heard many cries of agony in this wood, only to find that the cries were from the trees themselves. These trees were filled with the suicides and the squanderers, who did not take their possessions seriously enough. A vicious dog chased us through the wood to the other side. Burning! Oh, the red-hot sand under my feet that troubles those who are violent against God. There is a never-ending downpour of fire. On those sands I came across my old friend, Brunetto Latini, and a horde of sodomites. I was surprised to see a man of which I respected with those who were violent against nature. Then, we met the usurpers who disliked all to do with culture and art. Geryon helped us across the great abyss, which led us to the Malbolge. It was a vast area with large folds in the earth which divided the souls from each other. In a blur, we came to the seducers, who were endlessly whipped. Faces lay across a river of feces, for their words were full of lies. As I pressed onward, I noticed a group whose faces were on the back of their heads so as to walk endlessly without forward sight. I immediately knew that these would be the diviners, who had foretold the future without actual knowledge. Next were the hypocrites, who were burdened with their lead robes. Caiaphas was being crucified for the death sentence he put on Jesus. And as if things were not already troubling enough, I saw Ulysses in the corner of my eye. Confused to why he was in the 8th circle of hell, I questioned him. He explained how he led his shipmates to death on a sailing boat. He was a falsifier of counsel who allowed many innocent men to die. With a newfound perspective of Ulysses and his articulation, I found Guido di Montefeltro, who switched sides during the Florentine issues and was therefore untrue to his people and himself. As my teeth chatter and my breath becomes visible, I question whether this is the true end of hell. I am mistaken. As I entered the frozen lake, I saw heads sticking out of the ice. These were the people who were untrue to their kin and were therefore punished with immobility. I met Count Ugolino, who spent his life chewing on the head of his foe from earth. As I entered the final ring of hell, a great wind rose, so powerful and grand that not even Virgil could hardly stand it. As I neared a great figure whose wings flapped wildly, I found it to be Lucifer. He is stuck in the earth as he gnaws on 3 loathsome people, Brutus, Cassius, and Judas. As my heart fluttered, Virgil pulled me through the river of forgetfulness and back to earth. On Easter morning, all seems well, or so I thought.